Okay, thanks everybody for your patience. So as the advisory indicated, we're on a pretty fluid timeline today. We'll be introducing Kole here at 1, and our next, we'll also have the next press conference scheduled is 2:30 with Marcus Simeon, and then we will schedule and go from there depending on circumstances. So with that, we'll get started, and I want to turn it over to the Rangers President of Baseball Operations, John Daniels.
All right, John, thanks. This is an exciting day for the Rangers organization. I want to first welcome many of our staff and a lot of our partners here. We're going to share in a fun day for all of us. Real quick before we get into introducing Kole and the new Rangers, just want to review a little bit of when we met after the season. We met with our media and talked to our fans after the season, our plan for this winter. And to state the obvious, and I speak for all of our staff here, our ownership, Woody, the players, our scouts, everybody out in the field. We haven't been in contention for several years, and that has not been acceptable to anybody here. But at the same time, and during that period, we've spent considerable time, energy, resources building out what we consider to be a world-class organization. You've got obviously a best-in-class ballpark here and an unbelievable clubhouse with every amenity and opportunity for the players to improve. 2 performance centers, one here, one in Arizona, a best-in-class Dominican facility, our Urban Youth Academy in West Dallas, and all the great programming that we've done there, a high-end dorm to treat our minor leaguers as best we possibly can out in Arizona, and really investing in adding, retaining some of the best coaches, evaluators, and staff across the board. We consider the best in the game, and topped off with our continued commitment to Woody last month. We built a top 10 farm system that's only going to get better. We've got the 3rd pick in the country coming up here next year. Our evaluators, our player development group, hats off to them for an unbelievable job that they've done and continue to do. And all of this in a market, we're the 4th or 5th largest market in the country that's primed to embrace a championship club and quite frankly deserves that winner, and we're excited to continue working towards that. Through the last few weeks in this free agent process, we've had a chance, for lack of a better term, we've had a chance to pull back the curtain really for the first time for people outside of our organization on some of those things that we just touched on. And it's been really exciting to do that. We've been able to brag on our investments and our infrastructure a little bit, but more exciting has been to see the players' response to that, and as they've been excited in their reactions. One thing that's really important to note, ownership asked us to be aggressive in finding just the right fits for this organization, for our community, on and off the field this offseason. Ray Davis has been intimately involved with our plans. He's been a driving force in pushing us back to contention. And I want to recognize and thank Ray and the rest of our ownership group for their support and quite frankly for their motivation and their desire to build a champion and a long-term champion for this community. This is an exciting day, but it's obviously just one moment in time. We haven't won anything by any stretch. We got a ton of work ahead of us. We're going to continue getting after it and making incremental smart decisions every day till we reach our goals. So I want to turn it over to CY to hit on a few things, then I want to let you all get a chance to Kole.
Thanks, JD, and very well said. I think JD touched on a number of things that we have spent a lot of time, even predating my arrival here, to set this organization up for this offseason. And as we have spent the last several months really understanding our needs as an organization, what our vision is, and how we intend to accomplish it, we have been very diligent in our process in identifying the right players for this organization. Players who fit our style of play, that are winning players, not only on the field, but also in the clubhouse, players who are leaders, players who make the players around them better, who elevate our standards to Woody's championship standards. And it gives me a great honor to introduce one of those players today in Kole Calhoun. someone who we think is the perfect fit for us at this moment in time, somebody who I've had the pleasure of playing against. I don't miss facing him on the mound. But we are extremely excited to welcome Kole and his wife, Jennifer, to the Texas Rangers organization.
Thank you very much. Fits.
Okay, we'll start taking questions. So raise your hand. We have 2 wireless mics. Start with Emily.
Cole, JD, and CY mentioned them being able to kind of show off the work that they've been doing behind the scenes. What kind of impression did that make on you, and what are some of the things that you learned about this organization that you didn't know previously?
Well, I mean, the commitment to winning shows, right? With what they did and the players that they've added. It's very, very exciting. They're very, very exciting to be a part of, and be a part of an organization that is ready to go and bring in the players to build onto a team of young guys that they already have, you know. And so it was a fun process going through. I knew all the possibilities, read everything I could about what the plan was with the Texas Rangers, and you know, when called, I didn't want to let Texas get away. So this was a place that I wanted to be from the beginning, and everything just really worked out. And so, like I said, very excited.
Evan.
Cole, I'm just kind of curious. John and Chris have both talked about, and both Chris's have talked about championship culture, what that means to them. I'm curious how it came across in what they laid out to you. You've talked about the vision, you talked a little bit about the plan. How did they lay it out to you? What resonated with you?
It was probably the conversation that I had with Woody on the phone, and just talking about what he wants to do here and what his vision has been, and continue to grow that. And that sat well with me. I've wanted to always play on a team that was going to be a hardworking team and go out and get after it, and with one goal in mind. And you want to win, you know, you always want to win. And I've played on some good teams, I've played on some bad teams, but there was always that underlying work ethic and what everybody wanted to put forward to be a championship caliber club. And talking with Woody and just hearing it straight from him about his vision of this team sat well with me. I wanted to be a part of it, you know, even before that conversation. So that just really made it easy.
Other questions? Jeff.
Can you talk about last season, your health now, and
Yeah, the whole
basically
thing.
that's it.
Yeah, last season, that's really the first time in my career that I've been hurt. You know, I've had a couple stints on the DL, but nothing very serious. And last year was kind of a snowball effect. I hurt my meniscus sometime in the off season. Didn't think it was honestly that bad until we got a picture of it, and I had to get a little cleanup. And so my personality, I did everything I could, tried to get back as fast as I could. Probably a little too quick. Ended up kind of compensating on the other side. Hurt a hamstring. Probably came back from that a little too quick. Hurt the other side of the hamstring. So, you know, I just wanted to be on the field. I wanted to be on the field, and I wanted to play, and I wanted to help that team, you know, and when I had that opportunity in April, we were a pretty dang good ball club, you know, and so then getting hurt and everything kind of started going downhill from there. A lot of other injuries and stuff too, which was extremely unfortunate, especially being from Arizona. Like, that was a team that I grew up watching, and, you know, so I wanted to play well there. I wanted to be on a winning team there, and unfortunately that didn't happen for a couple of years, you know. And, but moving forward, I was able to get back at the end of the season, finish healthy, and now just focused on this off season, getting strong and putting that behind me and being ready to go for the Texas Rangers.
Newey?
How do you envision using Kole to line up? And when he talked about the vision, take me through the process as you're meeting with guys and coming off a tough season to say, hey, look, we got a vision, have some faith about where we're going to go.
Yeah, I think that, it's humbling to hear that, Cole, because, we've had a vision. I know JD, when he hired me, and obviously bringing CY on board, we've never relented from that. And now getting the opportunity to talk to a guy like Cole, who I've admired, coaching against, I might have been playing actually when he first got called up. Just the style of play, always resonated with me. And I've told him that a few times personally, as the opposing coach. He didn't really talk to you as an opposing player, which something that kind of stands out to me when a guy that you don't really love to play against, you know how they are across the field. But just there's a lot of things that stand out with Cole. And in that conversation, I just try to be as honest and transparent as possible as what we want to accomplish and the type of players, the type of people that we want to put in Ranger uniforms. And for him to say that and, just talking to him, having him understand it, and he believes in it. When he said, I want to be part of something bigger than myself, I think that kind of stood out. I mean, I literally was at my son's game and just kind of burst out, with joy, honestly, to hear that from a player who's had his kind of success. And that's all he wants to be a part of. And I know that, wherever I put him in the lineup, wherever I put him on the field, he's going to give me 100% every single pitch. And I think that that's something that I've asked our players. I'm really proud of our players in a 100-loss season last year. They did that. But with Cole and some of the other guys that we've signed, I trust that there's some pillars out there that they can look up to, all of our younger players. He's going to be, an impact on the field. I know that. I trust that he's going to work and he's going to be the best player possible in just talking to him. But I think the impact he's going to have on the rest of the organization, not just with our current players, but with our minor league players in camp, the effects of this are going to be, it's going to be the snowball effect of, he's just going to have a tremendous impact. And I know that's what he wants. He talked about leading in the clubhouse, talked about setting the example, setting the standards. It's an honor, honestly, to have him up here and be talking about it. But as far as usage goes, obviously I see he's been a right fielder his whole career, and, I expect him to, obviously play well at that position. And, as far as the bat goes, he's already talked about some of the adjustments he's going to make from last year, and can't wait to see it.
Other questions? Kennedy. All right. But you guys were you're pointing. I know your hands.
Well, Cole, can you go into some of those adjustments that Woody just mentioned you made at the plate?
I think it's more building on my season really never got off the ground last year. Anytime I started playing, I got hurt again. And so I think it's just building off what I've done the last 3 or 4 years, and getting back to that and being more consistent. And so it's nothing radical adjustments, I would say, but just kind of honing your skill and what everybody tries to look forward to doing in the off season. So, nothing, like I said, nothing crazy, but I'm going to attempt to be the best version of myself that I could possibly be.
Levi?
So Chris touched on this a little bit, but one of the things that came up quite a bit at the end of last year was just kind of the lack of veterans with skins on the wall in the clubhouse. I was curious, how much have they talked to you about that, and how much do you see that as part of your role on the 2022 team?
Honestly, I see it as probably the biggest role, to be honest with you. You hit on it perfectly. With not a lot of veteran leadership, in the clubhouse, and I think that's probably the thing I'm most excited about this whole process is having a team that is going to be very influential, and that gets me going. I enjoy that, and I enjoy being around the younger guys and kind of showing them the way of the big leagues and how it should be done, how you should play, how you should carry yourself, how you should be a professional. And so I'm really excited about that. I think the people that they brought in with Marcus, with Corey, with John, those are guys that are going to get after it, are going to work hard, are going to play hard, want to win. To add us 4 to that group of influential young guys, I feel like the possibilities are endless, really, and that gets me excited.
Evan?
Cole, this was for you, and then a version of the same question for John and CY. But Just going back and looking at your numbers, you know, the one thing that you haven't done in your career is you haven't played in a World Series. This team is coming off a 100-loss season. You came off of a 100-loss season in Arizona. How does a team in this position convince a guy to say, we're going places that are special and we want you to be a part of that? How do they convince you as a veteran that there's reality there?
I think just kind of what we hit on earlier, talking with Woody and getting to sit down and understand that there's a process. Like and you see this all the time. You see teams rebuild and what comes of that. And with how the minor league is set up and the young guys that came here last year and made a difference, you know. And so I know it's a 100-loss season, but there's still there is light at the end of that tunnel, you know. And you add the right veteran leadership. I think, like I said, you can do many, many different things. And you got to believe that the guys that came up here last year are going to take the next step and going to get better. And it's tough. It's tough coming into this game and making a big impact and being a big player right away. You know, it takes a little bit of time. And I think anybody that pays attention to baseball has seen that a number of times for a number of different players. And when you have such a young core, mix it with some good veteran guys, now you're starting. That's kind of your recipe for some good things to come of that. And so that's kind of how it was laid out to me. You're right, haven't played in the World Series, but that's the goal and that's the driving force, and that's what you kind of carry with you about wanting to be a winning player on a winning team. Like that's what keeps it going. And what better way to turn around a 100-loss season and go out and do something special, you know? And I think this day is just showing you that's the step we're taking forward.
JD, for you and Chris, how did you approach that part of selling guys? You just ran through all the infrastructure stuff and all the coaching hires, but how did you sell that part of what you guys were going to do on the field and be able to overcome where you have been the last couple of years?
Yeah, so I think you touched on part of it is it's kind of laying out, you know, really the infrastructure, the things that we know, kind of the resume. But a lot of clubs can make rattle off some attractive things about it. For me, the biggest thing really was when it came to those types of discussions, I would sit back and let, you know, CY and Woody, I think their reputations, kind of the way they played, the way they manage, the way they communicate, I think it resonates with players on a different level where, you know, they've competed against these guys, they've been around them. It's you know, it's not just talk. There's, you know, they know their reputations and what they stand for, and it was pretty clear in talking with or watching them talk with the players that you know, that meant a lot. And you know, it's not a sales job. It's, you know, who they are and how they want to lead and how we're gonna play and compete.
Yeah, Evan, and to me, it's really, I think, just as much a function of who we were sitting across the table from. Frankly, the players that we have met with this free agency, we've identified as the right people. And challenges like this aren't for everybody. But that's one of the things we've asked in each meeting is, you know, we've laid it out, we've been authentic, we've been very transparent. We were a 102-loss team. We haven't run from that. But we have a vision, we have a plan, and this is how we're going to accomplish it. Does this scare you? Are you afraid? Do you want to be part of this? Do you want to do something special that's never been done in Texas Ranger history? We knew the answer with these players before we asked the question, and that's part of the process for us identifying the right people to help turn this organization around.
Other questions? Back to Kennedy.
Either JD or CY, one of you said at the end of the year press conference that you're not, you know, making up 50 wins in one off season, but it seems like how big of a step is this first, you know, these 4 signings this last, you know, 4 days? How big of a step is into, you know, 2023, 2024, you know, down the road?
I think everything's got to be viewed kind of individually. You know, I touched on. I think we have to continue to make incremental good decisions, one after another, and the compounding effect of that is going to lead to a championship and lead to multiple championships. But you know, with Kole in particular, you know, we know what he's capable of on the field, and we've touched a lot on the leadership component, and that's the piece that we think is compounding. So, you know, I'd rather not sit here and say how much ground we feel we've made up, because the bottom line is, you know, we were not in contention at any point last year, and we've got to let our, you know, our performance on the field speak to that. But, you know, our intention was to take a meaningful step forward this year, and we're not going to put any limits on the club beyond that.
What else? Chris?
Hey, Cole. How familiar are you with some of the existing players here when you look at like Adolis Garcia, Jose Trevino, Nathaniel Lowe, like some of the guys? I mean, Adolis Garcia was a Rookie of the Year finalist and won the Sporting News Rookie of the Year. I mean, when you look at guys like that, how familiar are you and how excited are you to work with them?
Very excited. Honestly, not very familiar, especially guys being so young. I've been over in the National League, haven't played against them a ton, you know, and but like you said, there's talent on this ball club, and to be able to come and play with these guys, and even guys like Marcus, guys like Corey, John Gray, guys that I've played against and haven't liked playing against those guys, to be in the same clubhouse with them and be able to wear the same jersey with them, like that's exciting for me too, you know. And so it's this whole group. It's the idea of the possibilities of what can be accomplished that get you excited. That get, you know, everybody excited about watching the Texas Rangers this year. And so like I said, it's more of the impact that I can make now than you know, how much I really know these guys yet, you know.
Anything else? Okay, back there. Alan?
For John and Chris, with all the announcements you guys are making today, is it an obstacle to be watching what's going on? Like, you still got an eye on what's going on up the street in Irving with negotiations. Is that going to be a distraction? Like, can that be a distraction with trying to focus on the product on the field?
No, not really. I mean, we're going to control what we can control. You know, it might be a cliche, but it's true. And you know, we're really focused. We got a lot to do here in terms of building out our club, building out the organization. We've got a lot to focus on the player development side and getting ready for the draft and all that comes with that. So other people are focused on you know, the negotiations, and we're focused on putting the club together.
Anything else? Okay, appreciate it, and we'll have Marcus Simeon at 2:30. Thank you.
Thank Kelly, wants you.